Hello everybody, my name is Mod and welcome back to our survival world. So turning around here, as you can see, there's a big old hole in our terrain, and I showed it off a little bit during our last video, which was actually our world tour if you haven't checked that out. But if you're coming over from that video, you'll remember that I mentioned how this area really needs some work done to it just to cap off the top of this mountain here, and that'll pretty much conclude this whole area right here that we've worked for many months on. Now quickly, right before we do that, I'm just going to show off all of the materials we have, because over the last couple of days, I'd say actually week or so, we've managed to collect a bunch of dirt thanks to our brand new dirt farm that's way down there. Now here we are flying right into it. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of chests here. Now this side is sort of just reserved for wood, and then it kind of spills over to the next section, which I don't think is filled up yet, but as you can see, we have pretty much an unlimited amount of wood now, which is absolutely wonderful. But the main focus of this is the dirt. As silly as it might sound, we use an unbelievable amount of dirt on this channel. So having this is probably the most revolutionary thing I've done in years. Now I'll have the link in the description for this farm, but basically the way that it works, the podzol that you get grown from here gets pushed over this way and then up, so eventually it travels all the way over here where it gets blown up by this TNT and turned into dirt, where it's then collected along with some spruce and I guess some cobblestone too, because we get some stone here. So we have a bit of a cobblestone chest right down this way, where there isn't a crazy amount compared to our other farm, but there's still a good amount. Either way, this was just one night's AFK, so I just left my computer on overnight last night, and this is the result that we got, and I'm pretty sure it could have gone a lot farther. I just didn't have enough chests, and I actually ran out of bone meal, which will be kind of a pain to refill, but I think we have something around 200,000 blocks of dirt now, just ready to go. It might be a little more, it might be a little less. The only pain is that I made this farm so far away from our storage that I have to fly back and forth with like 15 rockets, so it can get a little bit tedious, but I'll see you back at the mountain, and I think we should do a little bit of a time lapse right off the bat and just grind that out before we move on to the other sections of the video. So I'll see you there. Alrighty guys, finally we finish up our mountain peak as well as the surrounding area, although it hasn't quite grown in with grass yet, but I think it turned out really nice. As you can see, there are plenty of plans over here. I'm thinking about putting some sort of palace or just a simple village over like the wintry area down here. So besides the village or potential village, I'm thinking about having like some sort of water feature right around here, even if it's small since it's higher altitude. I thought it could be kind of a nice thing to have, as well as of course decorating the rest of this place with bone meal and flowers and whatnot like we usually do. Now I'm gonna avoid doing that right now since it'll take too much time. We have a bunch of other things that we're gonna have to do in this episode. Now I've been mentioning this for a couple of videos now, but right around here I think I'd like to add some sort of building or structure or something like that, and that'll give this path more of a purpose, because right now it of course just leads to nothing. It leads to a nice view of the wheat field, but that's not what we want. So I think what we should do is let's get some materials ready, maybe clear out a couple of trees so we'll have enough room, and let's see what we can build here. Oh man, look at that. I love this whole area. Man, this is really coming together. I finally finished our little house up here. Well, actually, it's not that little, but why don't we go ahead and take a look. Let's go walk up there. So I've got this little path here. It looks nice with the chimney and the smoke coming out like that. I like the details I did on this build. Now, I was kind of experimenting whether or not I should use glass panes here, regular glass, or use some of the new copper blocks that I've been using more often. And honestly, I think I might try and go with the copper. I think it'll complement the coloring a little better than just having regular plain glass. But as you can see, unlike a lot of the other builds, I've actually made an interior for this one. I've tried to do quite a bit of detail. So again, starting from the front here, we've got a bit of a bookshelf. We've even got a frame for our painting here, a bit of storage up here and whatnot. And I've reused the plant design that I used a long time ago in our house, way down by our jungle village this way. Now I really like this design where you kind of take dead coral fans and place them on the ground, and then you have like a gray block underneath. That's a nice design. I think it makes it seem a little bit warmer. And then in here, of course, we have a kitchen, some nice windows in the distance here, and then you have your smokers that kind of look like they're doing something. And then I should probably fill this up with some water, but this is meant to be a sink here. Now you get a nice view down these windows here. You kind of have to stand on top of this. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But you have to stand on top of this to get a nice view. Maybe burn your feet on the stove here. Some extra storage in here. I didn't actually do an interior for this little room, but over here we have our dining room. We have a couple tables here, some paintings. Nothing too crazy, but I tried to add some details with some storage up here. And then of course we have a little nook in this area here where I've gone ahead and made like a breakfast nook where you can eat in the morning or something like that. And it looks pretty cozy. And then connected to it, you have your little living room with a small library with an office connected to it where you could get some work done. And then on outside here, you go ahead, walk up the stairs down this way. And up here, I think we have 2 bedrooms and even a bathroom in here. Oops, don't want to light fireworks off in the house, but inside here is our bathroom. I should probably fill this up with water, but this is meant to be a tub. Then you got a little drying rack for your towels and whatnot. And then a sink with, I guess, a mirror of some sorts. All right, and then our first bedroom here. This whole place is nice. You've kind of got your closet here with some storage inside. And then you've even got a little place to get ready here with a mirror. And then a nice bed with a painting, a family photo here, and even a nice view outside. So this is the same window I was talking about replacing with that copper. And I'm sure that you could get a nice breeze sort of coming in the room like this, especially on like a nice warm day. And then the last area, we've got like the end of the hallway. I tried to make it sort of warm with the bookshelves. And then here, you've got another family portrait with the master bedroom. So you've got a place to do some organization, some storage up here, extra storage, and then of course our beds, and even a nice balcony to walk out on. And my goal with this is that in the future, I think we're gonna have some beautiful views of our city down this way and some other builds eventually. And then of course you have like the wheat field view, which is always nice, never gonna get old. So I think this is some prime real estate if you ask me. Now overall, I mean, I'm pretty happy with this interior. It's a little bit tricky to do just because there are so many rooms and I wasn't sure what I should do for each one. And I also didn't want to spend too long on that building because we still have other things to do in this video. Now, of course, so far, we've finished the top of our mountain down here. We capped that off. We've gone ahead, finished our house here, did a bit of detailing as well. Now the 2 main projects that I really want to put a lot of time into is going to be to go ahead and finish the foundation of our city here. Now that's going to be the next thing we do, and then we'll move on to really focusing on our lake down this way. Now in the meantime of me building the house and sort of organizing everything, I've moved a bunch of the chests and shulkers down this way so we can kind of organize everything a little bit more easily. But I have a good amount of materials, a bunch of dirt, a bunch of stone, a bunch of bricks and packed mud. So we can be ready to sort of tackle this area of our terraforming here. And then, like I was saying, we can finish up working on the foundation of our city. So I think what I'll do is I might actually end up removing a lot of this wool here. We'll have to see how that goes. I think this sort of pattern here with the mud bricks and the packed mud, the grass, all of that will sort of be carried over. So let's go ahead and finish up this entire area, make it all sort of cohesive, and so we'll know what to build and really get a jump on the city here. So let's get right back into time-lapse mode and get some progress done. Alrighty, you guys, that is going to do it for this area here. I'll show you guys what I've done. It's pretty much just been a whole bunch of texturing the area, kind of neatening up the place, and then getting rid of a good amount of wool. Now, thankfully, this sort of area here wasn't too much of an issue, as it didn't take a very long time since we managed to build our dirt farm. But doing things like the pathing here, getting the blocks especially, was kind of a pain, because right now the way I'm making this mud here is by using wheat, and the only way I've really been able to get wheat lately is by coming down and sort of destroying our wheat farms manually and then replanting them, which unfortunately takes a long time. And as you can see, there's a bit of damage done over here. Of course, with the wheat that we've used, I've also had to use a lot of my mud. So what I think we'll have to do is, since I don't have a mud generator or a way to get mud, automatically, we're gonna head all the way down there. I think it's a couple thousand blocks away to our local mangrove swamp, and we can go ahead, collect some mud, and we should be good to go on that. So as I was mentioning about using mud, I really want to use things like mud, tuff, maybe some andesite, and especially some things like mossy cobblestone and more greenish blocks that I think would help bring out a lot of the color. Now, since this is going to be over natural terrain, it's going to be a little bit tricky to sort of start, especially because we're going to have to deal with water. But we have a good amount of experience, especially on a lake sort of like this over here, and we can kind of get inspiration as to what we should do. Now, an aspect I want to continue on to that side of the lake is going to be these lily pads, doing things like that, and then especially small drip leaf, which is a little bit hard to come by, but I'll see what I can do about that. But having things like these drip leaf here, I think adds quite a nice detail, just a little bit of life and character to this place. Now, you have to sort of keep in mind that this lake is going to be huge. It'll be by far the largest lake I've ever made, or any sort of water creation I've ever had to make. But from my understanding, it's sort of just the same thing we've done plenty of times in the past, just on a much larger scale. So why don't we go ahead and start the first step, which is collecting our mud. Alrighty, everybody. It's been, I want to say, around a week since I've last chatted with you guys. But in that time, I've gone ahead, made the whole lake bed, tried to texture it up as much as I could. There's a couple things that I could definitely fix up a little bit. But since it's all going to be covered by water and details and grass and whatnot, it won't matter too much. Now, a big goal with this lake is going to be to make it lively. And it sounds straightforward, but because of just how much volume there's going to be, it'll be a little bit tricky just to see how much detail we can really fit in here. Now, what the next process for me is going to be to get a bunch of something like netherrack or something that's easy to break. But we're going to go ahead and have to cover this entire surface here. Cover the top with water and then break all the blocks underneath, and that way the water will all flow down and whatnot. And another thing I need to do just before I forget is light up the whole area underneath here just with torches so that a bunch of mobs don't spawn when I end up covering the roof here with netherrack or whatever I decide to do. Because I remember when I was building this like over here, I managed to forget to fill up the bottom with torches before I covered it, and then when I added the water and broke the blocks, there were just a whole bunch of mobs that had floated up to the surface and started attacking me. So I think it's time to go grab a bunch of torches and let's get to work. So I'll talk to you guys hopefully within the next couple of days. Okay, so not only have we removed all of the netherrack that was right on our lake here, but we've done a whole lot of decorating, as you can see. It's kind of difficult to gauge how large this lake is unless you kind of run around it yourself. Oh, and I didn't mean to get stuck on that, but the other day I went ahead and we did our first stream and it went really well. We did a whole bunch of decorating. I want to say we did a quarter or maybe a third of all the decorating that we had to do, but the important thing is that not only did I get the gist of sort of what it's like to stream and interact with everyone, but the nice bonus is that we sort of knew what to do when it came to decorating. Now the tricky part was coming underneath the water and sort of placing all of the bone meal that needed to be placed. And as you can see, there's some kelp here that still needs to grow, but hopefully this will grow pretty high up and give it some more character. Also, some other great news is that we finally updated to 1.21.7. So we were on 1.21.1 for probably a year or maybe a little bit more. We're gonna have tons of new blocks. We're even gonna have like the flying gas, some new mobs. The really nice thing is that we're gonna have access to a lot of the new decorative blocks, which really makes me want to come back and redo some of this area, sort of add on to it with the new blocks that we'll have, and then some of the other areas too, I'm sure. But let's dive into a little bit more detail as to what we've done here over the past 2 or 3 days or so. Now, a lot of it was collecting materials and sort of gauging what we do. So I got a bunch of these ferns here, and then I got a bunch of the roots here, the mangrove roots as well, and sort of played with them, like did the moss, did all these sort of things just kind of decorate. We've done this briefly with a lot of the other lakes that we've done way down that way, but not too much with large scale sort of real hyper detailed projects just like this one. One thing I have done though is sort of replicate our reeds here, sort of sticking out of the water, our cattails that we've done across a lot of the lakes already. But I'm sure you can imagine this land here is sort of going to be pushed back over this way, since all of this sort of is leading to nothing, of course. But over on this side, we kind of have an interesting situation going on. Since a lot of this terrain is pretty old, I've been thinking that I'm gonna extend this mountain sort of coming out here and ending rather here rather than ending so abruptly with a cliffside. Now what that means is that we also need to work on this area here a little bit, and I want to add a couple of trees and then maybe do some detailing with the bone meal and stuff. Man, could you imagine in the months to come just the views that'll come with our city here and the mountains we'll have in the back there, maybe something done over this way. I'm just really excited for the future. Now, I hope I'm not getting too sidetracked. Let's just get back into our time lapse and go work on our area down here. So I'll see you guys soon. Now would you take a look at that? It's been a little while, everybody. I've had a lot going on, but we finally finished up this whole mountain area. And then on top of that, we've got a bunch of moss. I haven't utilized moss too much, especially on cliff sides, but after this experience, I think I'll definitely be using that a bit more, just because it helps add a little splash of color, especially if you add things like these azalea leaves and other moss blocks that also are included. I tried to add some extra detail on the coastline as well. So we've got things like mushroom and podzol, even dead plants as well. And I went a little crazy with the ferns. You'll see them everywhere, especially in this area, just because I had so many. And I even made sure to add moss. Let's see, yeah, there's some moss here, some over here as well. You kind of see it in the grass a lot of the times too. I felt that it would help with the green color and sort of differentiate it from areas that we can, you know, see down that way, or even over in our new areas like with the lake on the sides. Eventually, I'd like to make a walkway up here since technically it's walkable, but there's no like official path or anything. Now you get quite a nice view from up here too, so I'm thinking maybe not up here, but possibly down here in this little clearing over here I kind of left open. You can kind of have a house right maybe around here. We could get a nice view of the city, or city that will be down this way, and then you even have a nice shrine over here that initially I had planned to be in the water, but I think it turned out even better just being on the coastline right here. Plus, if you come inside here, you get like a nice sort of intimate scene like this. You get a nice sight line. And then once the city's built up, it's just gonna look even better. So there's more to look forward to. Now, standing over here, you can kind of get an idea of what I was trying to go for with this. Like, you have a nice cliffside and then it slopes down. You'll have more forests here eventually once we've built up more terrain, like I was talking about before. But I think having this little red accent here, it adds a lot of character, and you kind of get a sense of like where you are or what kind of theme we're going for. Since over here, obviously, this whole thing's kind of like Asian themed, but on this side, we didn't really have anything yet. So this kind of distinguishes itself out. Now, it's been a long time since I've uploaded my last video, let alone a regular Let's Play video, but our next project won't be as ambitious as this one was, but it will be even more detailed. So I think what we're going to do is work a lot on the city here. I have a good amount planned out, maybe around this area I'm thinking, and then we might even work on a special building, maybe a brand new pagoda that even dwarfs this one. Now, if you want this world for yourself, you can check the link in the description. There's a Patreon link and you can support me there, as well as get world downloads, so feel free to check that out. But we are out of time for the rest of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.